Okay, so I didn't do a Bleach review for last week's chapter, but today I wanted to talk about Zaraki Kenpachi and his true potential that honestly from the get-go when I got into Bleach and I caught up and everything, one of the things I always thought to myself is Zaraki Kenpachi has to be, if not the strongest, then definitely one of the strongest people in the Bleachverse, because I always thought to myself, just look, for example, he's supposedly in permanent Shikai because that's how fucking beast he is, that's how strong he is. We find out in the latest chapter, one of the big things was there is no permanent release. There's no such thing as that. So Zaraki was so impressive, his strength was so outrageous that they just assumed he has to be in a release all the time because he's just so damn strong. Little did they know that the dude hadn't even went Shikai yet. And after we saw Nozarashi, which you gotta think for a second too, even though Gremmy was a bad fight, which I think it was just mainly because it was a mismatch, the fight between him and Gremmy, Kenpachi and Gremmy, it was a mismatch, because if you think about it really, Gremmy is probably a better fit, if anything, to have been one of the elites. I think it was just because he was unstable, and one of the big things that fucked him over is he was kind of stupid. Like, I mean, he was so dumb that he fucked himself over in the end, but that doesn't change the fact that Zaraki took that dude out with just Shikai. Just imagine if the dude went Bankai. Honestly, from the get-go, I've always thought Zaraki was, outrageously strong. But then you keep on adding things up. Him being one of the war potentials because he's so damn beast. It's like, he's a war potential because, fuck it, he's crazy and strong. And that says a lot. Just imagine if Zaraki Kenpachi was smart enough, one, to get his Bankai. Because if he goes Bankai, I mean, if Nozarashi already gave him the strength, if even before that, he was fucking sick as fuck. It was always like peeling off layers to his character. It was like, okay, he always does it with one hand. Let's see what happens if he uses two hands. Let's see what happens if he takes off the eye patch. Let's see what happens if he learns his Shikai. Let's see what happens if he learns his Bankai. And I mean, if he took out a dude like Gremmy by himself, which again, Gremmy, terrible fight. I hated the character because of that, but ultimately he was a strong dude. I mean, he sent Zaraki to fucking space. We had Shinigamis in space, and you gotta think about it for a second. Zaraki withstood all of that. His body withstood all of that, and after having that outrageously hard fight for him, because, he got fucked up in every which way, he's back up again and fighting one of the elites with his Shikai. To be honest with you, I think that Zaraki, single-handedly, if he had more intelligence as well, because that's one of the things that Zaraki as a fighter kind of lacks, because he just doesn't really give a fuck. It's like, I'm not gonna think, I'm going to swing, which he could do nothing but respect, but honestly, I think he probably, if he had his Bankai, he probably could have taken out Aizen by himself. I think, honestly, he's that damn good and that damn strong that he has the ability to even surpass what Dangai Ichigo was. Because we've seen it time and time again, how amazing he was, that his peers were fooled into thinking, which I guess you can't really say fooled because he didn't intentionally do it, but they were fooled into thinking that he already was active in his, transformation, so to speak, his first transformation, the Shikai ability, just because he was strong. That says a lot, and again, the fact that he's one of the war potentials, everything. To be honest with you, I think Zaraki Kenpachi, it's obviously stated that, he's one of the strongest, but I think he surpasses majority of the captains. I think, like, when you go back to Soul Society, you see that he was, like, one of the bosses, but he wasn't the final fight, so to speak, that Ichigo had. I think that in the beginning, Kubo really didn't know how far he was going to go with Kenpachi, and to be fair, Kenpachi has evolved a lot since then. I mean, when he went up against Noritora, when he, took off the eye patch eventually, when he used two hands or whatever, he evolved a lot. But to be honest with you, even back then, I think Zaraki would have annihilated Byakuya. I think right now, to be honest with you, that he's far surpassed Byakuya. I think he is probably the strongest captain, aside from like the people that are around and former captains like Kisuke and shit like that. But I think he's the strongest captain at the very least, and that's even without using Bankai yet. Once he learns Bankai, I think that's 100% without a doubt. I mean, in the chapter when he's fighting Gerard, he was able to chip his sword, so you gotta wonder what's his Shikai ability, and then after that you gotta wonder what would be his Bankai ability. Now what Aizen has become, no, I don't think that he's on Aizen's level now. What I'm saying is, though, in that fight with, Ichigo versus Aizen, I think back then Zaraki had, at the very least, the raw power to match Aizen. But Aizen was a hack, so that's really hard to say if he would have completely be able to defeat him, because it took Urahara tricking him. But regardless of what I'm basically saying is, Zaraki Kenpachi, strongest captain, and not only that, he's probably one of the most top tier people that would even potentially be in the final fight. Again, you gotta look at it though, that unfortunately, due to him not being the main character and he's just kind of a brute there, it does make Kubo probably will never give him that spotlight, which I think rightfully he deserves. I mean, Kenpachi is such an interesting character because he's so simplistic, yet there's layers to his character that if, he was the main character of Bleach, Kubo could have done so many amazing things, and that's one of the things about Zaraki Kenpachi. Not only how strong is Zaraki Kenpachi, but how interesting. Like, he really, I feel, would be an amazing main character for even a spin-off or something like that. And I guess this is just, I don't know, you want to call it a Zaraki Kenpachi appreciation video, but I guess that's the big question. What do you guys think? How strong is Zaraki Kenpachi at his max? I mean, two-handed, no eye patch, Bankai, everything, the works. How strong do you think Kenpachi will be at his max, assuming we get to see his Bankai, which I think in this fight with Gerard we might be able to. And again, if what Toshiro was fighting Gerard couldn't do really much, Yakuya didn't do much, and I mean, these people went to the Soul Palace. This dude didn't even go to the Soul Palace. Imagine if he went to the Soul Palace with Bankai. Yeah, Zaraki Kenpachi, strongest captain. And your overall thoughts of the recent fight with Gerard? I mean, I'm still not the biggest Gerard fan, but you got Kenpachi in there, so that makes for one hell of a mix. But thanks for watching. If you enjoyed anything about this video, make sure to drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and stalk me on Facebook to get more when the video ends. I'm Finette World, and as always, people, have an awesome day.